so this is going to be the generic and draconic video to cover the remaining cards in this set. We're going to start with generics here. We're going to skip past Crown because you will draft the L no matter what. Helios Mitri, everyone has access to. This is something that is a token that you can just always have this card. So we're going to kind of skip that. And let's get into the quelling equipments. I would say know which equipment your heroes have. Most heroes have just about all. So quelling robes, sleeves, and slippers, I would only really look at to draft them in the second half of the second pack or third pack if I don't have that equipment spot. Because ultimately, where the quelling equipment is fine, I want the other ones more. So keep that in mind. Don't go after these during pack 1. Don't go after them anytime soon. Unless there's just no other picks and you can just have it just in case. But yeah, you definitely go after your class equipment first. Alright, so let's look at a race base, the first Majestic. 2 for 6, that's already very good. This breaks Phantasm on top of it. When a race base hits a hero, cards and tokens they own lose all class and talent types until the end of their next turn. That affects Icelander, that affects Dromai, and that affects, this cards and tokens. Yeah, so it does affect Dromai's a Drashman token. And that affects 5. So like this card is just very good. This is a pack 1, pick 1 easy. Probably the easiest one to decipher. Okay, next one, let's look at Vipox. They're generic. 0 for 1. When Vipox hits a hero, they lose life equal to the number of cards in their hand. This one I'm not very strong on. Like, I'm not huge on it. I think I could do without it if I'm being 100% honest. I would probably pick commons over this card. So this is a Majestic that's in generic that I would sooner pass, to be 100% honest with you. That all you got. 0 defense reaction for 3 while defending an attack with 2 or less power. When this combat chain closes, draw a card. This is a great card. This can go quite well against Vi and Dromai, not so much against Icelander, but very well into the other two. It replaces itself, and then it just has good value outside of limited as well. So I think you pack 1, pick 1 this all day long. Alright, Fog Down. 3 for an action, so box for 3 as well, but it's generic action, it's an aura. Non-attack actions, cards lose and can't gain go again at the beginning of your action phase, destroy Fog Down. Do not draft this card unless you're looking to draft it for your personal collection. This is a terrible card in limited. Do not play this card. Alright, now let's look at Flex. This is our first rare that comes in all 3 colors here. Flex 0 for 4, defense for 2. When you attack or defend with Flex, you may pay 2 if you do it against +2. I like this card a lot because it is a 0 for 4, which is already good, but it could be a 0 for 6, or I guess at that point, because you have to pay 2, it would be a 2 for 6, which is also very good, or 4 for 8, which is not bad at all. But what I wanted to stress here is that you can defend and do this as well. So you can defend with Flex, pay the 2 to get up to 6 to break the card that has Phantasm. So I really like Flex. I'd probably take it over a lot of cards or even over some like good class cards, just because it's just a very strong generic. It's not draconic, so do not let it fool you. The draconic chain link stuff, but overall very good card. Now let's look at Fiendless Fighting Spirit. Cost 3, the red one comes in for 7. When you attack or defend with the Endless Fighting Spirit, if you have less life than the opposing hero, gain 1 life. Basically, what this means is that it is a card that blocks for 3 or attacks fairly well. The blue one is 3 for 5. It's okay. Like maybe Icelander could attack with it. I think it's a great card to block with in the other 2 decks. you know, I'll pick I'll pick commons over this card. So, I'm not in love with it. It's okay. I think it's about average. Alright, let's look at Sift Zero. The red one allows you to put up to 4 cards from your hand on the bottom of your deck, then draw that many cards. So you would have to play this from Arsenal if you wanted to get like full value. It has to go again. Honestly, I would not draft this card. I just wouldn't play it in a limited format unless you just absolutely had to. But you know, I think you're just better off not playing this card and drafting other generics if need be. Alright, strategic planning. Cost 1. Put an action card to cost 2 or less removed from a graveyard on the bottom of its owner's deck. At the beginning of your end phase, draw a card. Really, how this should honestly read is put a Phoenix card from a graveyard on the bottom of its owner's deck. Because this is an anti-fi card. This, you know, hides the Phoenixes, especially if he has his first one and you play this on the first turn. You just neutered Fi, which is huge. Honestly, I wouldn't draft this in the first half of the packs, and it would have to be pretty late in the second half. Like, it's a good anti-Fi strategy, but it's not really worth going after. Brothers in Arms, I think is one of the best generics, just because 2 for 6, which is what we were talking about here with Flex. And it breaks Phantasm, and if you pay 1 more, so you can pay 1 to defend for 4. So I honestly very much like the red Brothers in Arms quite a bit. I think it's actually a pretty damn good card. Alright, Critical Strike. It's just a generic 1 for 5 that blocks for 3. The red version, and just gets a little weaker the previous colors. Don't draft this card. Don't draft this card. If you have to, do it, but like, don't draft this card. Alright, Scar for Scar. We know this card. 0 for 4. If you have less life, it has to go again in the red version. Just know it's not draconic, so just be aware of that. A red Scar for Scar is still good though, so I would take this card over some class cards, but not really the other two. Alright. Trade in. When you type trade in, you may discard a card. If you do, draw a card. If it's played from Arsenal, it gains go again. I would really only play this card with Phi. Not draconic, so it won't trigger the chain link there, but it allows you that if you have a Phoenix in hand, you can discard it to draw another card, and then just use Phi ability to get the Phoenix back. So I kind of like that little combo. But I'm not going high after this card. I'm definitely letting this card cycle. Healing Bomb, 0 to gain 3 life for red, and 1 life for blue. It's okay. Like, I'm not really drafting this card. This is like the last 2 picks that I'm taking this card. Sigil Protection, 1 forward 4, and prevent at the beginning of your action phase, destroy it. Annoying to deal with. I've had players play this against me when I'm Phi. Annoying to deal with, but honestly, you can still get around it fairly well. It's a generic action, so it takes up an action point to play this card. So the only time I ever would want to play is at the very end, which is like not very good if you're Phi Dromite. Now, however, if you're Icelander, this card's actually not bad at all. This like kind of saves space. So if you're Icelander and you see some of these cards, go ahead and grab them. I would certainly take the ice cards first, but these cards can give you a turn to relax because you don't have to play anything on your turn, which is nice. Oasis Respite. I actually like this card quite a bit. You pay 1. The red version prevents the next 4 damage that be dealt to target hero this turn by a source of your choice. And then if you have less life, you may gain a life. So this can gain you a life. This can prevent some damage. When there's not a ton of arcane damage to prevent when you're Phi, this is great versus Icelander. But this can also be good in any of the heroes decks. So I actually really like Oasis Respite. I would probably not take it over a lot of the generic or the other class cards, but you know, there is a place in the rankings for this card. And then you have Crack Bobble, which you also know draft. Okay, so those are all the generics. I'm going to quickly go over the draconic cards now. And looking at them. Okay, so you take a Fatal and you take the Legendary. Sash of Sandakai. This is a very good equipment. I think you value this equipment pretty high if you see it, especially if you're bi. Drone Mine maybe not as much, but I think you still go after it pretty highly. You have Thaw. While Thaw is in your graveyard at the start of your turn, you may banish it and choose to destroy Frostbite, destroy Isolation, and unfreeze target frozen card. So this is a very good card against Icelander. It's not a bad card against Dromai either, just because it can break Phantasm, which is very, very good. It costs 2, so not the best, but ultimately I'd go ahead and pick this card just because it has some utility. Liquefy 1 with the Rupture effect. When this hits a hero with a -1 defense counter and equipment they control, then if it has 0 defense, destroy it. I'm not very huge with this card. The equipment here, unless they have like a legendary, is not like so brutal that you need to like destroy them. So honestly, this card I'd pass. I really would. Alright, Uprising Zero. Your next 4 draconic attacks this turn gain +1, has go again. This is an amazing card. It even defends for 3 here. So I would run the hell out of this card. I think it's so good. And this would really entice me to go Dromai or Fi after drafting Uprising. Same with Tome of Firebrand. I think this card's amazing. It probably is the card you put in your arsenal to get a little bit of setup, but the turn you play this card and you're able to get it go up is just incredible. So I kind of skipped or jumped the gun here. Let's read what it does. Play Tome of Firebrand, only control 4 more draconic chain links, draw 2 cards, cost 1. I just think that's such a good card. Okay, Red Hot. This is Drummeyer 5 specialization. If Red Hot is played as chain link 4 or higher, it has when you attack with this, reveal top X cards where X number of draconic chain links you control deals damage equal to number of red cards deals way to any target and then shuffle. This can be played in either deck. It costs 2, so it's kind of not the best draconic action. I would probably pass some of these Red Hots for even common cards, to be honest, just because it costs 2 for 4, and that's pretty pricey. Alright, then we got Rise Up. This one costs 1 for 3. If Rise Up is played as chain link 4 or higher, it has Dominate and plus X attack, where X is twice the number of Phoenix Flames you control. That's pretty good, obviously, for Fi. I know with Droma you'll probably be playing Phoenix, but I don't think I would want this card if I was playing Droma. This is definitely more of a Fi specialization. And I think 1 for 3 is not the worst after Rupture. Because probably what it will end up being is 1 for 5 with Dominate, which is awesome. Blaze Headlong 0 for 4. If you play another red card, it gets go again. Awesome card. Love that card. That's a great card. That's a great comment. I draft that highly. Breaking Point 1 for 5. Rupture, you destroy all cards in their arsenal. Pretty damn good card. It comes in pretty strong at the end. Ultimately 1 for 5 is really what I'm looking at. The Rupture is okay and limited. It's pretty good, but it's definitely more okay and just limited. Burn Away. Additional cost, play Burn Away, you may banish Phoenix Flame from your graveyard. When you do, it gains +2 and go again. This is probably more of a Dromai card, hence her being on the cover. Just because you don't really want to get rid of your Phoenixes with Fi. And this is only a Dromai card if you play Phoenix Flames. So I'm not huge on this card at all, to be honest. Even though it does cost 2 or 0 or potentially 4 go again. Like there's conditions that have to be met. Flameborn Retribution. When you defend with Flameborn Retribution, if you've been dealt damage this turn, you may return a Phoenix Flame from your graveyard to your hand. It has go again. not huge on this. Again, this is more of a Fi card, but even with it being Fi, I'm not very big on it. So I'd probably just let this cycle around, just like burn away. Flame Call Awakening, 1 for 3 of Go Again. When you attack Flame Call Awakening, if you play another red card this turn, you may search your deck for a Phoenix Flame, reveal and put in your hand and shuffle. This card I actually do like. I would draft this card over a lot of other cards that are more class specific. Just because it grabs a Phoenix. Obviously, this is more of a Fi card. If I'm Dromai, I'm going to let this cycle. Inflame 0 for 1 with Go Again. When you attack with Inflame, if you played another red card this turn, you may return a Phoenix Flame from your graveyard to your hand. This is okay. Honestly, I'd let these cycle because they're going to. I wouldn't pick them the first go around. Even with Fi. Lava Burst 0 for 2. If played as Chain Link 4 or higher, it has +3, so 0 for 5 at the very end. Not terrible. There's cards I'd pick over this that are more class specific, but if I see this in the second half, I'm not upset if I'm taking it. This is with either Dromai or Fi with this card. Searing Touch 1 for 3. Rupture has, when you attack with this, deal 2 damage to any target. I like that. I do. I would probably put it in the same category as Lava Burst. It's nothing I'm like super thrilled about, but it's solid, honestly. And we have Stoked the Flames. When Stoked the Flames hit, you may return a Phoenix Flame from your graveyard to your hand. If you do, it gains Go Again. I actually really like this card for Fi. It's something that will almost always have Go Again. The only problem is it has to hit. So I kind of forgot about that before I said I really like it. So because it has to hit, it is conditional. And if they feel like they can block it to just stop your Go Again, then that's going to really hurt. So, you know what? I wouldn't let this card cycle. And I would probably pick it in the last like 4 or 5 cards. I'd probably pick this card. So, okay. Well, that covers it. Be sure to check out the videos. This has been the thorough breakdown of each card. I will have a Google Sheets to give out a ranking of each card, and then you can decide from there what you want to do with that. But thanks for listening, and I hope that my knowledge has, or my lack thereof, has helped out in one way or the other. So thanks guys, and I'll catch you at the pre-releases.